Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Ask Me Anything. Thank you to How to Web for organizing this event. Let me tell you a few words about myself. My name is Vladimir. I'm an entrepreneur, product guy. Currently, I work at DeepStash, service to help you read more, retain more, get smarter. If you're not using the app, download it on iPhone or Android. We'll have a web version soon. Previously, I did B2B software. I founded a company called Uberview, an early player in the social media analytics space, which got acquired by Hootsuite. I was director of product at Hootsuite for almost 4 years. Before doing social media analytics, I had an agency. I built a CMS. I helped starting an affiliate network. I did plenty of things. I'm here to answer any questions that you have for me. Usually my areas of expertise are around product, entrepreneurship, but I wear all sorts of hats. I'm a jack of all trades. So hit me up with anything that you have. Well, I feel Tudor is asking, is DeepStash a digital immortality human augmentation startup? How do you feel about this idea? Well, I like it. Yes, I mean, if we're executing correctly, DeepStash is definitely a tool to augment your brain. The problem that we're solving is we're helping you remember things that you might otherwise forget. So we have this new format, this new unit of knowledge, which we called an idea, which is a short snippet of atomic information that's extracted from long form content. And the idea that you can store these in a digital cloud and access them when you need them, it's clearly along the lines of human augmentation. I like a line from David Allen, which is the master zen of productivity. Some of you may know him as the guy who, I don't know, created the getting things done methodology, and he had this quote that ideas are not to be hold upon in like memory. You have to store them outside and use your brain to create new ideas. So yes, it is a human augmentation startup, although we're pretty early in our journey. I mean, we're a 1-year startup, so we're barely getting started. Alrighty. Let's go to the next one. Catalin, if you have a social startup with great virality in Romania, how would you scale it globally? What investment would you go for and where? Well, I mean, like everything, it depends. I mean, if the problem that you are solving with your social startup is a global one, then go global. In a lot of instances, B2C startups that I've seen that are starting locally are addressing a very local problem, and they have issues in getting it popular abroad. If that's not the case, if you're addressing some sort of a general problem that you think might be a problem in, I don't know, Poland or in the UK, US, I don't know, India or some African countries, go do it. I'm not sure if there are some steps. I will need to look into the details of what it is that you're doing. One of the things that I've tried to do, and it worked for me, is I don't start things locally and then try to, I don't know, validate them on a small scale, especially if that means Bucharest or Romania or even Eastern Europe. And the reason being that I've seen so many teams or companies doing that and then not being stuck in a way in the local mini verse, and they start to iterate locally, and they don't think about how to do things globally. So many companies have been testing in Romania to see how it's working, and then if it's gonna go well, we're gonna internationalize the whole thing. Very few success cases. What usually happens is those people get entrenched in the local startup community. I don't know. They go to events, they raise some money. Maybe they start generating some revenue with some maybe advertising with local players and stuff like that. And then they are trying to optimize that. And years later, they are still thinking about going abroad. I don't know why that is. I don't know. Maybe ambition is being lost along the way. People in SF in San Francisco are doing it pretty well. I mean, like Uber was tested in San Francisco, and a bunch of other companies. I don't know. Airbnb was tested in New York, and apparently American startups have this method of testing it locally and then externalizing, but maybe they have access to a bigger market. I mean, if it works in New York, then you have God knows how many other states and cities in the same country that you can export the innovation to. Doesn't happen with Romania. So I'll need to know the details, but try to focus on the international market as soon as possible, and don't spend, I don't know, months and years perfecting the social network for the Romanian market, unless it is a social network for the Romanian market. Well, it's kind of, I have my startup registered in Delaware. Why not in Romania? It kind of ties to the previous question. I want DeepStash to be an international type of company. We're not addressing a Romanian problem. We are addressing an international problem. We have users in, I don't know, all the countries in the world. And when it comes to running this type of company, I think US is the place to be. I had experience with US companies previously. I like how the US operates compared to Romania or other European countries. So I started with a company in Delaware to do it right from day one. I also have a Romanian company. I mean, like most of our operations happen through the Romanian subsidiary. But considering we're an international company and we will eventually have a US office if everything goes well, it's good to have the proper setup from day one. And it's also quite easy to do. It's quite inexpensive. It's unbelievable how automated and friendly the US system is compared to the local Romanian one. I'm not so familiar with the other country in Eastern Europe, but to incorporate in Delaware, it takes a day and a handful of documents, and you're ready to go. And I don't know, paying taxes is equally easy. I don't know about the other countries, but in Romania, starting a company here and incorporating and opening a bank account and doing all sorts of things took me like weeks. From Mike, what was your vision, motivation behind DeepStash, and how do you see it evolving in the future? My motivation was personal. At first, I believe that we are transitioning from a service economy to a knowledge economy. As the world becomes more complex and uncertain, the economic value of an individual will be tied to how much he knows. And everyone talks about, I don't know, the new creative economy, and people have to be creative in all sorts of job. And creation is just a matter of connecting ideas that you were exposed to. So for me, creativity is an input problem. If you have access to organized information, then there are lots of nodes that you can connect to and generate good ideas. That's a very abstract way of looking at the problem. But personally, having been an avid note taker and an avid consumption person, my best ideas, and even when I worked in a larger company, my best projects came from connecting between things that I got from other places, whether it be like articles and videos or books that I've read. But because I had a system to connect the key insights, the ideas, I could generate new projects, new ideas. They weren't my ideas. I don't think people have that many original ideas. But working with the ideas that already exist in the open with some sort of a system can generate new combinations and make them productive in this uncertain economy. So I believe that people who consume more systematically and have a process to work with these things are going to be the people who are going to be rewarded by the new world order. The issue is that, I don't know, being organized with consumption takes a long time and effort. I mean, how many of you take notes when you read professional articles, or take very good notes when you read a professional book? And how do you organize those notes, and how do you review them? And it's very, very complicated. It takes a long time for me too. I mean, I used to put these things in a to-do list. I have to review the notes from that freaking article, or I have to write about this book. It's very complicated. It takes a long time, but the benefits are substantial. So I wanted to make a product that will address this problem, but make it effortless. Clearly, there are some things that are going to be lost. But the first thing that we did this year with DeepStash is to verify if people understand and like working with this format that we came up with, which is this idea atomic unit of information, which kind of solves a lot of this issue. It's easy to read, it's easy to resurface, it organizes itself. It's the beginning, and we're clearly going to go into user-generated content. What we have been discovered is that there is a big appetite for social interactions based on this format. So a lot of our users are asking for, I don't know, profiles, or being able to follow one another, or to comment on each other's ideas and stuff like that. So there is a big opportunity beyond this one. From Bogdan: hi Vladimir, during your experience as a people manager, not just product owner, have you ever had to ask an employee to find another job, leave, because he just wasn't delivering as the rest of the team? If yes, how did you handle this, and what would you do better next time? Keep up the great work. So how do you let people go? Yes, I think all the entrepreneurs had to let people go at some point. I did it many times in the past. How do you let someone go? My approach is to be empathic and but honest. Empathy and honesty combined, it's the best way. I mean, the most important thing to know when you're letting someone know is that you screwed up. You screwed up because you didn't hire the right person. So you have to internalize the main who's the one at fault here, and it's you. I mean, you hired the wrong person, and now is just the moment when you are correcting that mistake. So yeah, do it with kindness, but be honest. Explain why it's not working, and maybe offer some suggestion if the other person is interested in getting the feedback. One thing that you should be doing, and I'm not sure if I was very good at this in the past, as it shouldn't come to a surprise. I mean, if you've done your job as a people manager correctly, when that person is let go, he shouldn't have like a shock. I assume you had plenty of one-on-ones with the person, and you have explained the situation. Maybe you try to improve his performance prior to getting to this point. So he shouldn't be shocked, and the conversation should be I don't know, more pleasant, if you will, or calmer. How was the fundraising process for Deep Stash from Adriana? Well, it was short. We didn't raise a lot of money when we had this idea. We did the first prototype, myself and then my co-founder. We funded the whole thing for, I don't know, a few months, and then we just raised the pre-seed round from one of the local funds because they liked our idea. I think they decided to back some experienced entrepreneurs, and that was that. So it was short. The reasoning for this approach is we think we're very early. We have a lot to build and to validate and to prove. And usually traditional fundraising, I don't know, like a Series A fundraising, let's say, or even like a seed round fundraise, takes months. We were a small team. We still are a small team. So having one of the key people, myself, doing fundraising full time for a few months would have been very distracting for the company. So I wanted to get some money so we can validate some more and do it with some partners that we like and get back to work. I'm not sure if some of you who are watching have this as an option, but I think it was the right call for us not to spend, I don't know, months into fundraising process. But God knows, because I'll have to do it again. We're doing like a seed round. When we're gonna do a Series A, we have to do fundraising the proper way, and ask me again in a year. What are the most common mistakes you see product people do? I mean, there are so many. I mean, like fundamentally, they don't. The core mistake, and I do this all the time, is you don't accept that your ideas might be wrong. And the reality is that most of the solutions that you come up with are for problems that you barely understand, or if you understand the problem that you're trying to solve, the chances that your solution will be spot on are low. And then you have to keep an open mind to look at everything that you're proposing as an experiment, if you will, and not take it personally when the numbers don't go in the direction that you were hoping. So yeah, I mean, like that's a big category of problems, but I synthesize it as this ability to work with reality and not being attached to some solutions that you're putting forward. Alexandru, how was it different to you founding DeepStash compared to Uberview in respect to being already a high-profile founder? Surprisingly, I don't think it was that different. It was different in a sense that I don't know. I had expectation that it's going to be easier or different or stuff like that. The high profile founder it's not really that helpful. I mean the fact that I don't know. I had a previous success. I thought that it's going to be more helpful in attracting people and establishing and creating a team early on. The reality is, I mean, this whole high profile founder is something that just a few of us know. I mean, the majority of the developers out there have no idea who I am, and I don't think they care. I think the appetite for startups has, in a way, declined over the past few years because the jobs and the remuneration in big companies it's so great. So people just are interested in taking a job, are not interested in the startup scene as it was, I don't know, 10 years ago. And I don't know, there was this, I felt it was more, people were more hungry to prove themselves, to do things. People here are more, people now are more, I don't know, relaxed. They take it more easy. So I don't know, startup heroes are not that heroic anymore. I mean, um, it's not just me. I mean, we're talking even like, I don't know, giants. I had people in interviews who had no idea who I was, but had no idea who, I don't know, like Radu Georgescu was. I was like, who's that guy? Dude, are you crazy? So yeah, I think I was expecting it would have been more helpful, but in reality is that it wasn't. Most of the people that joined the team had no idea who we were at first, and doing startups seems to be more risky now than it was 10 years ago. It helped with intros, with getting to know, I don't know, investors and stuff like that. But in the operational sense, didn't help that much. I'm still doing all the silly things that I was doing at Uberview, trying to manage the madness. So yeah. How is the deep stash experience different from Uberview? Well, in a sense, it's not. I mean, it's as hard, if not harder. Um, but we didn't do deep stash because it was easy. So Uberview was a B2B. We were doing SaaS. It's similar in the sense that when we started Uberview, there weren't any people doing SaaS that we knew of. So we had to break ground. We had no idea about, I don't know, like metrics and processes and stuff like that. I mean, we were doing SaaS when Amazon Web Services was being released. So we had to learn a lot and be at the edge of a nascent industry. So in Deep Stash, in a way, it feels the same for me because it's also new to me. I mean, we're doing mobile, consumer, large scale, all of these things that I have to learn and get familiar with because I'm not good at these things. So a lot of the things that I learned at Uberview I cannot apply at Deep Stash. But that's awesome. I mean, I'm not doing Deep Stash because I want to do another Uberview. I'm doing Deep Stash because it's a problem that I'm deeply passionate about. It is a problem that I think it's important to be solved, and if I can play a role in solving it, I would not want to miss it. It's hard, as hard as Uberview, maybe harder. It is harder also, but I'm older now. I have a family. I have a kid. I mean, like there are all these things that weren't true with Uberview that are true now with Deep Stash. So it's not easier. It's different. But yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be easy. I mean, if it's easy, you're probably working on the wrong problem. And the last question, Ciprian, what are you doing now to preserve your work at Deep Stash during these times? Advice for other founders. Uh, Well, I mean, there's the family element, and I'm not here to give you any advice. For people with kids and families, it's gonna be harder. Try to manage that as best as you can. Talk to your partner. Have different have well negotiated work schedules for both of you. In terms of managing a team remotely, attitude is important, but also the good habits that you have established. I'm not saying we have it perfectly, but we're doing some things that are working. So writing is very important. Working out loud, making sure that everyone in the team knows. It's important. It's very important to communicate successes more and more, and this is something that we're not doing extremely well. But when people are alone watching a monitor all day, they can get depressed. We get depressed, and it's important to share the good news and to celebrate remotely as much as possible, because optimism is important. People can't or they don't go outside, they don't interact with other people, and I don't know, messages on Slack are not necessarily a perfect replacement. So yeah, it's going pretty well in terms of managing the team. I can go deeper into some of the rituals that we have, and how that is improving us. So we worked in categories, in small buckets of projects called missions. So missions are like, think of SWAT teams who go in and try to fix a problem. So our 1 or 2 weeks mini agile projects that can be delivered by a team of 1 to 3 people. And we do that across the board, from development to product to marketing to everything. And that gives us a structure to communicate on a daily basis and to celebrate wins when we have it, and also discuss about the things that we found out when things didn't go as expected. So we like that a lot. We like the structure, and it gives, again, a framework for people to establish good habits. But at the end of the day, it's still about keeping the enthusiasm up, and getting people to work with a smile on their face when they watch a Slack channel day in and day out. Cool. Thank you so much for talking to me. It was very, very fun, and thank you to How to Web for inviting me. You can reach out to me in private if you have more questions, and see you soon.